We begin tonight with a story reigniting debate across Texas. Blain Milam, the East Texas man convicted in the horrific death of a toddler more than a decade ago, has been executed. Lamora went on before that, we don't know. But there are injuries to Amora's genitalia at some point in the early morning hours of December 2nd. Now, Dr. Pinkard, unlike CSI, he can't fix the time of those injuries, but it was his testimony that hours after that, and these are the injuries, it's my recollection, these were actually injuries to the child's genitalia. Seems wrong to say about a baby. But those injuries to the vaginal vault I described to you, that phrase that in my opinion should never be used about a human being, those occur.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in there on the bed.
All right. Okay. Go ahead. And you and Jess walked down to the property?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we just started marking off stuff, and about an hour flies by, and between that hour and hour and a half, we walk down here, walk in the house,
Okay. Go
and
ahead.
she wasn't nowhere to be found. Alright.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Alright. And then, at that time, we're searching for her, and there's a hole in my mama's bathroom.
Okay.
Alright. That's where she was.
Jessica, however, took her interview in a profoundly different direction. She introduced a narrative so bizarre it would come to define the case in the public eye: demonic possession. She spun a tale of playing with a Ouija board for 8 hours straight, believing they were speaking to their dead fathers. She claimed a demon then possessed Blaine, and finally, Amora. The brutal assault, she claimed, was not murder. It was an exorcism. She said Blaine told her God had instructed him that Amora was hitting herself in the head with a hammer, and if she didn't go to heaven now, she will live her life with Satan having her soul.
Tell me what really happened, because this is the time to get it right. And speak up loud enough so I can hear it on the phone.
When was it? It was in September. Blaine's dad died in September, early September. And right after he died, we bought an Ouija board. And we didn't know they were bad and it was an omen or anything like that. Like, we're very strong believers of God and everything. And we bought an Ouija board, and then, we heard that it worked, but we never actually did believe people when they said it worked. So we wanted to try it out for ourselves. And then, my dad's dead too. He died when I was 10.
I'm sorry.
And, so I asked my daddy that I thought, a question that he would know that nobody else would know. And I had never told Blaine that. And so when he spelled it out and everything, I was like, this is my daddy. And so we did that, and, this is like a telephone to heaven. And we thought it was really cool and everything. So we kept talking to our dads, telling them how much we missed them. And, and we talked to him for about 8 hours straight that night. And we started getting really freaked. And we got this little music box from one of his friends that's Chinese. And it has these Chinese people singing, God will protect us, demons leave this house, because they said our apartment was possessed. Because weird stuff started happening and everything. So we left, and we kept that music box there and blessed it, and then we blessed the Ouija board, and then we threw it away. And, kind of like The Exorcist, have you ever seen, when demons come into people or whatever. And the devil had came into Blaine. And, it sounds crazy, but I would not be making this stuff up.
I'm a Christian. I believe in demon possession.
Yeah, and I am too. And, I kind of knew, I knew about demon possession, but, you can't really believe something for sure until you see it with your own eyes. And so when the devil started coming in me, talking to me, saying, I'm going to take Blaine's soul tonight, all this kind of stuff, it started really freaking me out. And, now it's gotten into a more now. And then I said, okay, well, can't we, have an exorcism or something to get rid of it? But Blaine came back outside, and I said, what did you run in the house saying Amora for? He said, God told me she got that hammer and was hitting herself in the head, and those marks on her head was, I think, from that hammer where she was hitting herself, or that demon was hitting herself on the head. I was like, there's got to be something else we can do. I was like, we can get money, we can go to a minister and see if he can help, or go to find a priest somewhere and see if, we can make payments on them, do an exorcism or something. See if we can do just anything. There's got to be another way. And he said, God said it was too late. And I was like, what do you mean God said it was too late? And then he was crying while he was saying this and everything. He was like, because if she doesn't go to heaven now, she will live her life with Satan having her soul,
Investigators were highly skeptical. Back at the trailer, they quickly realized they were dealing with deception. They found what they described as a staged crime scene in a front bedroom, complete with fake blood, a detail more fitting for a low-budget horror movie than a real crime. Ranger Ray admitted they initially fell for it, but a more thorough search uncovered the true crime scene in a different part of the house, a back bedroom where forensic teams found Amora's blood spattered on diapers and baby wipes. The case's biggest breakthrough, however, came more than a week later, on December 13th. The discovery wasn't made by an investigator, but prompted by a frantic phone call from Blaine's own family. After visiting Blaine in jail, his sister, Teresa Shea, told her aunt that she urgently needed to get back out to the trailer to get some evidence out from underneath of it. The aunt, horrified, immediately called Sergeant Rogers. Rogers obtained a warrant, returned to the trailer, and crawled into the dark, cramped space underneath. There, shoved through a hole in the master bathroom floor, she found a clear plastic bag. Inside was a heavy pipe wrench. Forensic analysis later confirmed it contained components of the diaper. Was this the act of a mad woman and her simple-minded tool, or the work of a calculating, sadistic killer? The state's final and perhaps most powerful piece of evidence was the testimony of the Russ County jail nurse, Shirley Broyles. She described a day in January when Blaine called for her, crying in his cell. On The state felt they could not meet the legal standard of future dangerousness required for a death sentence. The Polunsky unit is a world of concrete and steel, of endless routine under the threat of a final scheduled end. Blain Milam would spend nearly a decade there, his case slowly navigating the labyrinthine appeals process. In a rare interview conducted from behind the thick glass of a visitation booth, he seemed to grapple with his reality.
Major eye opener. It's like I never thought about death row before I got here. Honestly, I didn't know Texas had a death row. All right, that's how inconsiderate people are of the death penalty. Before you find out you're in a situation where you're facing.
For 10 years, the story of Amora Carson's death was intrinsically linked to the word exorcism. It was a sensational, horrifying explanation for an inexplicable act. But in the hours following the execution, District Attorney Michael Jimerson held a press conference.
Unspoken plea for justice has reached a crescendo that endless appeals no longer silence.
The lethal injection began at 6:19 p.m. In his final statement, Blain Milam thanked his supporters and the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for helping him find his faith. His last words, "I love you all. Bring me home, Jesus." Inside the viewing chamber, Amora Carson's family stood solemnly.
We will never know what Amora would have contributed to our work.
He was determined to dismantle that narrative once and for all.